Okay, listen, today is a cool class. I'm going to talk about Christianity and Islam, and I'd really like to take a few questions from the stream. So if you have something, make sure you put it out there. So I'd like to really want to take it. All right, and I'm trying to do what I think is just be really thoughtful about this. So be kind to our volunteers. They'll be maybe on the spot, maybe not, maybe so, maybe not. I don't know. But anyway, a couple questions. Dude, move down just a little. All right. Thanks, Mom. Okay, we good? We're all good? All right, Mom. All right, title of today's class is What Do You Hear? And this really stems back to the class that we did on Israel and Palestine. Oh, wait, hang on, we got to introduce you guys. Why don't we'll start.
You're a mechanical engineering student from Bucks County, PA.
Oh, you're a first year?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Bucks County, PA.
Bucks County, all right.
My name is Brandon. I'm from North Carolina, Charlotte. I'm an enterprise technology integration, and yeah.
You're from Charlotte? Dude, what are you doing up here, man, in this cold weather? Your brother goes here? All right, man. Okay. Well, then the next question is, why does your brother go here? Why isn't he back home too? Wait.
I used to live in New York for like 17 years until I moved to North Carolina.
Okay. All right, so listen. This goes back, hey, by the way, I have a class, KJ, you inspired a really cool class that we're going to do next Thursday. So be ready to come back up for a hot minute on Thursday. Yeah, you prompted a really cool idea. All right, so listen, this class goes back to the Israel-Palestine class. And I realized that when I started that class, when I started talking about that class, I told myself, hey, you're going to have to go slow, and I really want to hear what Christians have to say about what you're going to say. But what happened was I then built the class out enough that I had to go faster than I really wanted to. So both of you wrote in your volunteer form that Christianity is really important to you. So hence, we invited you to volunteer. So we're going to go a little bit slower, and so the title of the class is What Do You Hear? And so it really is, I want to hear what you hear me saying, or what do you hear being said. So let's go to the first slide. First off, this is a New York Post is kind of sensational in a way, but this was from 2015 to a Muslim couple out in San Bernardino, California, went into a workplace and shot 14 people, killed them, and then injured other people. And that's the headline. Like, what do you think when you see that? Like, what comes to mind?
I think it's devastating, the fact that those people lost their lives. I don't understand why the New York Post had to make the need to highlight the fact that they were Muslim. I feel as though possibly they were trying to enforce a narrative. I don't really think that the fact that they were Muslim had anything to do with the travesty that happened that day.
Well, how do you know that, though? Like, how would you know that?
I mean, I'm not educated on the exact situation. I just don't believe that religion had to be tied into it.
Okay.
Like I said, it's a shame that those people lost their lives. I don't know what happened in the case. I don't know the intention of those people.
But your initial inclination, your initial place is to say, wait, why bring Islam into it? Even though these people that was part of what went behind it. But Brandon, what do you think about Muslims when you see that? Like, what's your don't be politically correct, just like, what's your gut feeling? I'm not saying you're being politically correct, bro.
I just feel like ever since 9/11, I feel like every news station.
Hold it close.
I feel like ever since like 9/11, I feel like like news stations in general always try to paint like Muslims as like bad people. Obviously, this is a horrible situation, kids getting killed, but like I just feel like you don't have to label it like specifically on that because there's been many cases of other religions killing people, like Christians, Jews. It's like every religion kills, in my opinion. So like I feel like everybody always tries to paint Muslims as these terrible people, but obviously you were talking about in a couple of classes how the big graph, like there was a very small percentage of Muslims being killed, and I just feel like every news station is just trying to paint Muslims as horrible people, but they're not in reality.
But these two people were horrible people, right? But these were.
Yeah.
So now, say what you just said with the idea that these two people clearly were, or one of you, like.
I feel as though they were just bad people. I don't really think like them. It was two people you said? I don't think those two individuals paint the entirety of what the religion stands for. I think those people were just very bad people. And like I said, being Muslim did not have to.
Okay. All right. So go to the next slide. So this is a shot. This is just this past September. The Plateau State in Nigeria. Plateau State is it's a province in Nigeria, in the central actually part of Nigeria. These are, it's a mass grave, right? We're not really showing, I think we're probably not showing this on the stream, y'all, right? But the people who were killed were Christians, okay? And they were killed by Muslims, and not Boko Haram, who I talked about a couple of classes ago, but other Muslims. So, what comes to mind when you, as a Christian, right? As a Christian, where's your branding? Where's your mind go?
Just like seeing any Christian get killed, in my opinion, like at a young age is just devastating to me because I just feel like God alone loves everybody. So just to see other people fight over religion is just devastating. Obviously, I don't know what like transpired in all of this, like whether it was good or bad, but just seeing a single Christian alone get killed is just devastating to me, and I don't like seeing it.
Bro, how about you? Like, what to you?
I like the last situation. I think it's very tragic that those people lost their lives. As a Christian, though, I feel like I don't hold a grudge on those Muslim people who killed the Christians. Your initial reaction could be like, oh, you're angry that happened. But, you have to just move forward, and it's usually a good thing to not like forget what happened, but grow empathy for the killers. Because obviously they're going through something, and they're probably in need of a lot of love. And I don't know what transpired for that to happen. So,
dude, that is such a Christian. That's such a good Christian response. By the way, they're in need of love. You know what I mean? Like dude. I just want to. Would that be your response, bro?
Yeah, because the Bible says to love your enemies and pray for them all times in Matthew 4:45, 44. So
okay, awesome.
Just gonna love them at the end of the day.
All right. I'm gonna high five both of you. All right, so here I'm gonna now go and I'm gonna return to something. So I'm gonna go back to the other class, right? Remember what I said. So we see this. The anti-Semitism and the hatred of Jewish people it's often discussed as the longest hatred, okay? And the longest hatred with this story that got sort of woven into Christian scripture that Jews killed Jesus, right? The Romans killed Jesus. I mean, you can say any number of things, but clearly Romans killed Jesus. But the idea suddenly becomes like, really, Jews killed Jesus. This guy, Martin Luther, bro, you're German. You're Lutheran? Or you're Orthodox? Oh, yeah, you're Orthodox. That's right. Okay, well, but both of you, right? You Protestantism, this Martin Luther is the person who really broke Christians from the Catholic Church and said, hey, we're going to move in a different direction here. So anybody that's not Catholic really owes their Christianity to this guy. And so this is his one book at the end of his life on Jews and their lies, okay? There was anti-Semitism long before this, but this just sealed it in so many ways, okay? And so when we think of what has happened to Jewish people and leading, well, here, let me just show you a couple other things here. I want to go back, right? So here's this thing. I chose the New International Version because it's more up to date. The King James Version basically practically says, it just says it much more direct and much worse, right? So imagine that you are, the two of you as Christians. I'm not, we're going to get to what you think about this, right? But the two of you as Christians, if woven into a story that keeps going in, it keeps getting woven into your entire belief system, is this idea that, hey, Jews are responsible. Jews killed your God because Jesus is your God, right? And like, you got to manage that, right? And then you take the Catholic Church and you, not only did Jews kill God back then, but every Jew alive today even is responsible. And so what I did in that class is look at like Nazi Germany, and I think, wow, 6 million Jews. How do you get people to kill 6 million other people? Like, how do you make that happen? The only way you can make that happen is if you planted the seeds of hate inside them, the seeds that are like really strong, and they germinate and they flower into something that's just profoundly powerful. It's the only way, because remember what I said the other day. These people went to church the Sunday before this rally and the Sunday after this rally, and they worshiped the same God that the two of you worshiped, the same one that I worshiped when I was baptized. Well, not baptized because I was just a little kid, but when I was christened in the church, right? So here, I want to go one more thing here, right? And then one of you made mention of this, just the deaths by Christians. Wow, man. Okay, so my question now to you, this is where we're going to talk, right? What do you hear me saying? What am I saying? Why am I talking about this? Like, what do you think? And how do you manage it? Just like, first off, what do you hear me saying?
I wouldn't really say what's what you're saying. I was just saying what you're trying to explain. That Christians are at fault for a lot of this, like killings in World War I and World War II, obviously, and obviously with Germany killing 6 million Jews. Basically, just explaining to us how trying to paint Christians as bad. I would possibly not like paint them as bad, but like the cause for all of this is what you're trying to say. I would basically be saying.
So you hear me saying Christians are the cause, or Christians are. Okay, what else?
I feel as though, looking at the chart, possibly you're trying to put in the mind of Christians, because I feel as though things are more flipped nowadays, where there are Middle Eastern religions who are perceived more violent. That's not my perception. But I guess you're trying to plant in the seed of Christians that they can't make that assumption, or it would be unfair to do so, because in the 20th century compared to the 21st century, Christians were more violent than Muslims and other people.
So what do you think my purpose is for doing that, right? Like, what do you think? What am I trying to do?
Basically trying to say that that not only Christians, but you're saying that Christians alone, you're trying to basically say that Christians also kill people as well. Like, a lot of people say, oh, Muslims and other Christians kill a lot of people. You're also saying Christians kill a lot of people also. And the purpose of me saying that, what do you think my intention is? Yeah, you also went over in a couple of other classes that like there's like a very small percentage of like crazy people like in certain religions, and same thing Christianity. There's some crazy people in Christianity as well, and you're also trying to. I feel like that's what you're trying to point at, that religions have crazy people. Yeah, and so what, Jamar, what do you, and my purpose is what?
I feel as though the purpose is to showcase that the fact that a few crazy people don't make up the entirety of the religion. Kind of what I said earlier with the first slide with the 14 killed people that were killed by the two Muslims. Those two ill-minded individuals don't make up for the entirety of the Muslim community.
Yeah, like when like yesterday there was a shooting in Kansas City, right? And it's like I think they found a couple juveniles and so on. Do you guys ever, as Christians, when these shootings happen here in the United States, how often do you say like, oh, those are Christians who did that? Or
I don't blame anybody at all. I just blame.
no, I'm not blaming. Yeah. How often do you just say, have an awareness, oh, those are Christians who did that? Huh.
I wouldn't say they're Christians. I just feel like a lot of people in general aren't Christians because I feel like you say 67 people in the world right now are actually Christians, but I think it's less than 5%, not even that. Like people say they're Christian, but they don't actually go to church. They don't actually read their Bible. They don't actually pray to God. So like, if you want to say they're actually Christian, you can't actually be all the way in and all the way out. That's my opinion also. So like
but okay, but I'm going to push back on that really fast because you just put yourself in a corner right there. I think you probably realize it. But here, but a religion, like being a sociologist, following a religion, man, it's really difficult, right? Especially if it's, say, like Islam or Buddhism is much easier. Hinduism, my God, you got a million or 10 or million gods or whatever. You pick one, you do this, you do that. But it's difficult to follow because there's so many different ways to interpret. It's like laws in the United States, right? As both of you know, right? You can read the Bible and you can read the Quran. You can interpret it in so many ways. And who am I to say like the way you interpret it is wrong and the way I interpret it is right? So being religious, like in this case, being Christian. Let me just stick with Christianity. It's like freedom, or democracy. It's like democracy. You never achieve it. You're always just strive for it. So you never achieve being like the really most awesome Christian. You just be the best that you can be under the circumstances, right? So now I want to go back to, that's different than what you just said. I've never met anybody who I was like, oh, that person's the only person who I ever met who I felt like was the perfect Christian wasn't even Christian. And I'm like, damn, not even Christian. And I feel like you're like following Christ. So anyway.
Well, I would definitely say nobody's a perfect Christian because obviously there's not. But what I am saying is that like, if you're going to keep on doing the things that you say you're going to do, like going out every weekend, doing that, that's what I'm basically saying. Like you can't fully be like going to bars and doing all that stuff and then going to church. Like that's my definition. Like I'm not saying you have to be perfect because nobody's perfect. Everybody sins. But what I am saying is that you can't be doing all this stuff and say that you love God, but you do the exact opposite of what he's saying.
That's like pretty obvious.
Yeah, that's what I'm basically saying.
Yep. So at the very least, you're like plugging in and unplugging and unplugging.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you think that you are.
Yeah, for me, like you have to be not 100% in him, but you got to like head in that direction of like where Jesus wants you to go. That's basically my decision. Bro,
how often? That's cool. I like that. Bro, how often have you ever had a conversation about this kind of thing, about like how much violence people who do and commit, who worship the same God that you worship?
In high school, I took a comparative religion course, so I learned about many different religions. And my teacher, he really wanted to emphasize the fact when we were learning about Christianity, the history of it. It's like all the wars that came with it and whatnot in the 20th century. So, I did think about that then. Doesn't really flow through my mind all the time.
It doesn't stay in your mind?
I mean, I learned it then, but it doesn't. I don't frequently think about it.
Yeah. So, for example, here, right? No tabloid magazine is gonna have on the cover, Christians killed 14 people in San Bernardino. You don't, because Christianity is a dominant religion here. So this is the nature in the Middle East. In another culture where Christianity is not the dominant religion, can you imagine that you see those kinds of headlines, right?
That's why I said for the first one, I feel as though the media was trying to portray a certain narrative on the Muslim people. because Christianity in America is the dominant religion.
Yeah.
So if Christians were to commit a mass shooting, like they're not going to say, "Oh, Christians killed this many people."
Yeah,
'cause-
no, it's when Christians commit a mass shooting. Because
Yeah.
Christians commit mass
No,
shootings
for sure,
here all
yeah.
the time. Yeah. How is that? How does that make the two of you? To what degree does that like weaken your faith in some way that Christians commit so much violence? Right. By the way, do I sound anti-Christian to you? I a little bit say, what do you hear that I sound anti-Christian?
Well, I was just saying, like, with this example right here, like, I wouldn't necessarily blame all of it on Christians, like World War II, obviously, because obviously world leaders were Christians, but like, you have to look at what caused World War II at the same time with the World War I treaty.
Totally.
So, like, I feel like you can't necessarily blame everything on Christians. Oh, Christians started this, Christians started that. Like, you have to go back to the root cause. Like, every problem is not just religion, like, as itself. Like, World War I, obviously, the major reason is the Treaty of Versailles.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, the rise of fascism with
Yeah.
Germany, and then them wanting more stuff.
And those were all Christians.
I wouldn't say Hitler was necessarily Christian because he banned Christianity, so...
All right, okay. So listen, here's the thing, though. What I'm pointing out is that the Muslims, the Buddhists, the Hindus, the other people who are committing all the acts, they can claim to be Muslim, right? I'm acting on behalf of Allah, but they're not Muslim either, right? But those two people who committed those acts, we don't grant them that. So I'm not blaming anything. It's really good that you say that. I don't blaming anything on Christians. I'm just raising the point that, like, wow, it's so curious to me that Christians have been responsible. Christians, but I don't think they're really Christians, by the way. I'm like, dude, you might call yourself, just because you call yourself, I might call myself a sociologist, but I could be a complete knucklehead and not know anything about sociology, but I can still call myself, I'm a sociologist, right? So like anybody can say they're anything, I'm a feminist. It's like, seriously? Yeah. So I think for me, it's just a curiosity, and I'm just wondering how you hold that.
I would say my faith still remains strong. I mean, there's violence everywhere in the world. I wouldn't lessen my faith just because of the fact that Christians kill, everybody kills, everyone sins.
Yep.
So it's like I don't really lose my faith in the Lord.
What do you think I would? Do you think I would, me personally, in raising these questions, would want you to lose your faith?
I don't see why you would want to do so. So I don't
Yeah.
think you do. No.
Yeah, no, I actually would want to strengthen you. By having conversations like this, what I know is it's actually going to strengthen people's faith, not weaken it. It's just allowing us to, it's just bringing something into the analysis that we don't bring in. It's like, why don't we think this? Why don't we ever think this? Why don't we like...
For me, I wouldn't say it would strengthen my faith. I would more just say that you're trying to make us look at more options, like look at other religions out there. Don't be so narrow-minded. Like, just look what's out there. Don't be, just open your eyes, see what's really out there in the world. I feel like that's what you're also trying to put out there as well.
Yeah, I'm not really.
Oh.
No, listen, go with Christianity. Like, you guys, go with Christianity, man. It's great. It's a great religion. It's awesome. Like, go with it. Like, why change up midway through? You know what I mean? Especially the two of you, you feel really good about your relationship with God and with Christ. So, like, man, work on that. Like, there's no need to try somebody else. Like, don't knock on some other door, you know? It's like people that could get, like, serial divorces or something. It's like, dude, just work on your marriage, man. You're not going to find a better one, so... so no, I don't have that. But here, let me throw. Dude, Christians, just be a Christian. Okay. Here, listen, man. I want to go back to this one though. Okay. So this war, this is the beginning of the war in Iraq. And remember, like how do you remember me saying this the other day, referencing? All these soldiers are in Kuwait right here, and they're getting ready to go off to Iraq, right? And the reason that we're in Iraq is not to liberate Iraq, because there are lots of countries that needed liberation. Iraq had resources that we wanted, And, we're going to liberate this guy because he's not doing what we want him to do, Saddam Hussein. But like Christian invaders, like that's how other people see it, And so like in this war in Iraq, it's estimated about 300,000 civilians died as a result of us, right? Which doesn't strike me as, wow, really profound. Now, the reason this is fascinating and deeply disturbing is because at the same time, right before the war with Iraq came together, right, took off, the Great War of Africa started. You guys know what the Great War of Africa was? Yeah, see, nobody does, right? So how many people you think died in the Great War of Africa? Take a guess.
2 million.
I'd say like 750,000.
Right? So we didn't go over there. The Christian invaders, these guys, we didn't line them up. Our nation didn't line them up to say, hey guys, we got to send you over here because millions of people are dying in Africa and we got to like stop this, right? People are fighting each other and so on, right? And so like, I'm just, like, how do you hold that? Like for me, like I'm always, like I have these things in my mind. Like I hold stuff. I don't just put it out of my mind, right? Like I'm not like, oh, hey, this is something in the United States. I don't just like push it away because I don't want to think about it. I try to integrate everything into my thinking. It's like, wow. Man, dude, Christian invaders, because most of the army were Christians, right? They might have set their thoughts aside somehow. They read their Bible before they went off to war. They prayed to the same God you're praying to, the same God that the Muslims in Iraq were praying to, And then they went off and killed Muslims, and the Muslims were trying to kill the Christians. But, I'm just thinking about us. Like I don't know. What do you think? It's a lot of people. Why didn't we go and stop 5.5 million people from being killed?
Not really educated on the whole Great War of Africa thing. I feel as though Africa is kind of overlooked in a lot of situations.
Mm-hmm.
Like currently right now, there's a lot of genocides going on in Africa, and no one really highlights those situations. Like I said earlier, it's just unfortunate that many people lost their lives. That's just what I think about. I don't really think about religion when I think about it. I just think that there's a lot of poor souls who passed away.
Okay, I have a follow-up to that, but Brandon, do you have?
Yeah, I just feel like I don't like putting war in religion as a sense, because I just feel like war, obviously with the Crusades and stuff, that was obviously war between religions. But like, obviously seen between like the last, I would say, century, I just feel like we really shouldn't put emphasis on religion, because obviously there's people in the army that are Christian, whatever they may be, whatever religion they may be. But I just feel like war just starts because of things that aren't related to religion in the past century, because I just don't want to put a whole emphasis a lot on, oh, they were Christian, they started this war. Like,
No, they didn't start it. Okay, so here, let's be really clear. They didn't start it because they're Christian. Their Christianity didn't make the war, fuel the war, right? People who are Christian, Muslim, Hindu, sociologists, whatever it is, right? We do the things that we do. But one of my principal teachings is to put ourselves in the shoes of other people. So like me, I put myself in your shoes, right? Like I come over here, I'm like, hey man, okay, so I'm Brandon. I'm this guy. I feel really connected to God. I feel really connected to which is awesome, dude. Okay? And And now I got to make sense of this, right? Because there are other people around me who I worship with. They're praying to the same God. They're reading the same scriptures and so on. But other things are happening. Now, what's my responsibility? What do I do? Like, how do I integrate that into my love of Christ? Let's say, right? Like, how do I do that? And so, this it's like a really beautiful conundrum. And so my job as a professor is simply to look at you and be like, all right, dude, good luck with that. And it's not good, it's not bad. There's nothing different about Christians from anybody else. There's nothing, right? Some of you people may be snarky about Christians or Christianity, and they would like make negative, snarky comments, but there's no difference, man. So, okay, go ahead, man.
I just feel like in war in general, though, like it's either live or die. So for me, obviously put your faith into Jesus, pray to him, hope that you live. And then that's pretty much it. I get what you're saying. Like the Christians are killing these people. It's just
No. People are killing people.
Yeah.
People are killing other people. Hey, by the way, dude, your laptop. Put your laptop away. So listen, people are killing people, okay? People are doing things they shouldn't do, that any of us would say are immoral and wrong. Just wrong, man. You don't have to be damn Christian. You don't have to be Muslim or Christian or Jewish or anything, man. They just happen to be or align themselves with Christian thinking for whatever reason, or Christianity, their family, whatever. Doesn't matter. It's not Christians doing something. Okay, that's really important. It's people. It's like when a sociologist does something really horrible. You don't say like sociologists do something. We just say, like they did that, and he happens to be a sociologist. But other people see it a certain way. Like to other people, then you guys are part of Team Christian Invaders. And I'm like, hey, what's it like being part of Team Christian Invaders, bro? Jamar. Team Christian Invaders, man.
Just think it's unfortunate that people from other faiths perceive Christians as that manner. I understand though why. Why though I should say, because people who claim to be Christian, like you said, I feel as though it's easy for someone to just fall back and
but it's not claimed to be Christian.
No, they
People
are
who
Christian. I feel as though it's easy. I don't know, but to them, it's just a bunch of Christians going out and killing them.
Yeah,
so
it's
it's very unfortunate that they see it that way.
Yeah.
But I can understand why they see it that way.
Yep.
So I mean, it sucks that to have that title, but.
And you said earlier about that first headline, it's like, hey, it sucks that they do that headline because what they're doing is pitting people against Muslims. And Islam didn't have anything to do with that, even though it did, by the way, in that particular case. Well, it didn't, but their belief, they interpreted Islam in a certain way that led them to say, hey, I'm going to go kill people. That's not Islam. That's not the problem of Islam. That's the problem of two idiots who are, which would be the same with Christians who are like, I'm going to go do this very terrible thing in the name of Christ. Dude, can you not do that? Like, you just, like, that doesn't bode well for the two of you. Like, you two are really generous people. I mean, strike me as very kind people. What do you think you'll take from this, Brandon, from the conversation?
What I will take from it is saying that every religion has their extremes, obviously, from Christianity, Muslims, Judaism, everything like that. But like we were talking about earlier with obviously all the situations from the Muslim killing in the New York Times, from the Muslims killing, obviously from that we just got to love one another, regardless of who we are, and just come together and just have peace, basically, because you were mentioning a lot about war. So for me, what you're trying to spread is basically just we got to stop killing each other and just try to come together as not like one religion, but as people, and just make sure that we solve this problem as best as possible.
Yeah, yeah. Because yes, that's all. I like what the two of you said, and I want to remind you that 99.999%, 9999 probably of the actions of Christians, just like the actions of everybody else, are really kind and thoughtful and mostly, if not loving, at the very least, just thoughtful. People are really quite generous with one another. So these are rare exceptions, man. The rare exceptions. But the idea is like, whoa, it's like, let me step out of something and like go far away and look back and see how let me see how this guy is seeing this, and then like, what that does is that teaches me to be much more thoughtful about the way I perceive other people and see other people. But you guys have demonstrated that mostly you're not pointing your finger at other people in that way. You did a little bit right there, but I think I rephrased what you would agree with the way I rephrased it, right? Yeah, like students who are not plugging in, they're going out partying. It's like, that's not really, I don't think this weekend, Jesus would probably be at Thon this weekend, but he would not be partying at the Cafe 210 or whatever. Man, I really doubt it. Yeah. Huh. Am I allowed to say that? It's good. So we're good. You don't see me, you guys don't, so this is my final question. You don't see me as anti-Christian or?
No, I just feel as though you were trying to make us have a different perspective. Personally, like, I already felt the way, I guess, that you were trying to make us rethink. My father's
seems like it.
more spiritual than Christian, so growing up with him,
Cool. Yeah, very cool. Same with you, bro. We're good?
Yeah, I never really had a problem with what you were ever saying, because you've obviously talked about other religions too, and they're killing. Like you were telling how Islam has killings too, but a very small percentage of it, obviously. So I think you do a fair of like every single religion.
Yeah, and I think that religion is not even a part of it. It's not what inspires people to do that. Like, come on, man. It's what inspires people is the negativity within them. All right, man. Thanks, bro. Yeah, thanks, bro. Yeah, I appreciate it. Nice job, man. Hey, by the way, he is wearing a cross here. Did you catch that? Yeah. Hang on before we. From Eric from outside Philly asks, what's a Christian? What's a Muslim? What's a Jew? Dude, Eric, that's a great question. I don't even know, man. I don't even know. Because everybody who makes the proclamation. Wait, let's ask the two of you. Look, hang on, introduce yourselves, and then we're gonna ask you.
My name is Jumana. I'm from Saudi Arabia.
Jumana.
My name is Rahaf. I'm originally Palestinian, but I was born in America.
Born in America, and you live like in Chicago, right?
Yeah, I was born in Chicago, but then I moved to Pennsylvania when I was like 5.
Okay, awesome. Hey, what's a Muslim, by the way? You're both Muslim. Like, what's a Muslim? Let's answer Eric's question.
People who cherish Allah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I guess someone who like practices Islam, like they read the Quran, and like they follow the teachings of Islam, basically.
But there's so many ways of following the teachings, right? You must meet Muslims from just so many.
Well, there's only one book.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say there's many there aren't many ways to interpret it, I guess.
Dude, there are so many ways. Think about like Sharia. Think about like ISIS and all these. Dude, for example, there are Muslims who would argue, there are Muslim men that would argue that they could take the two of you and have you as sex slaves, right? And like that's not in the book of Islam, but somewhere they get that. I don't know, they must have added some pages in. Like, the hell is that? I mean, it's mental illness as far as I'm concerned, but
Isn't it a fetish?
I don't know, maybe, yeah, maybe, yeah. I don't know, man, it's crazy. Okay, but hang on, we're going to go back to that. Hang on. But I know what you're saying. There should be, we should agree on basic things. Hey, go back. There's one more? All right, hang on, let me see. How do students feel about evangelical Christianity becoming a socio-political movement? What do you guys think? Do you know anything about evangelical Christianity? Really?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. You live in the U.S. You don't have any? Really? Wow. The idea of what do Muslims who you know think about? What do they say about the end of the world?
It's the day of judgment.
Yeah, the day of judgment. But is there going to be an ending of the world and like Allah's going to come back and Islam doesn't have that. That's like a Christian
We
thing.
believe in like signs
Yeah.
of like the day of judgment, and like those signs indicate that it's near, basically.
The final judgment day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 1400 years ago, it was. It says in the Quran that the date of judgment is near, but yeah, it's been all these years, and
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Right.
yeah, and many signs has shown through all these years, and
Yeah. Well, like when Real Madrid wins the Euro Cup again, that'll be an important sign. All right, bro. Can you go to the next? Cybernetic. Yeah, go to the next slide. Go back to my slides. Okay, okay, right there. Okay, so listen, the other day, I talked about violence in Islam, okay? What do you say, what do the two of you as Muslims say about this kind of thing, right? So here we have the so-called Muslim killers, right? Here's ISIS. These guys, by the way, are some of the guys. This is Boko Haram, okay? These are Muslims who did this. What do you say about this when Muslims are committing so much violence? Like, how do you talk about it? What conversations do you have? Like, wow, that just happened. Like, damn. I just mean yourself. Do you talk about it?
personally, no, I don't. But I don't think that it's that you should only say that it's just because they're Muslims. Like,
Okay.
if you're a bad person and you want to kill people, that doesn't say about your religion, you know?
So you're saying the same thing that your two Christian classmates said, right? That's the same thing that they would say.
It's not all about religion.
It's not about religion.
Yeah.
So do you?
Yeah, I agree. I think, like, with the headline in the news, like, I think it's weird that they would label it as, like, Muslims. Like yeah, you could, like, say they're Muslim, but, like, making it, like, the main headline is, like, kind of weird to
So
me.
as a Muslim American woman, as a Muslim American, when you see that headline, what do you think?
I don't know. It kind of makes me scared because, like, this is, like, just being shown out to the public. So, like, and people who aren't educated just believe whatever they read. So if they see me out in the streets, they're going to be like, oh, she's Muslim. Oh,
So
she's
Jamar
dangerous.
said, the very first thing he says, like, why do they have to do that? Because that just turns people, like, pointing at Muslims, right? So those are, like, really kind words for you. Yeah.
And they're gonna blame it on Muslims. Like, when you see these acts, people are gonna say, "Oh, it's just because they're Muslims." Like, if a Christian did that, would they say that it's because they're Christian?
No, we don't. But how about in the Middle East, that idea of Christian invaders, like seeing America as a land of Christians? How often have you thought about that? Because many of my Muslim friends in the Middle East think about that. You? Have you ever thought that?
No.
Have you ever heard anyone talk about that?
No.
What do they talk about when they talk about the U.S.? Just,
Land of freedom.
yeah?
Yeah.
It's just that. What do you think about, what do you talk about, or what have you learned about Christianity? But Jesus is an important prophet. By the way, if you don't understand, Jesus is actually, you can find Jesus more often than any other prophet in the Quran. So, what do you know or think about Christianity? Do you think about it at all? Do you guys ever study it?
Personally, no.
Do you ever study it?
No, I haven't.
What do you think about Jesus? Just out of curiosity. This isn't in my...
A prophet.
Yeah, it's just as a prophet. Yeah. Ibrahim, Isaac, Isaac, all the names. If you don't really understand this, right? When you think about Muslim names, the common names that Muslims use, they're all Jewish and Christian names. Not all, but they did so many Jewish and Christian names. Ibrahim is Abraham.
We just follow the message from Allah.
Yeah. Huh. I think that's something that people don't really understand. Okay, so listen, I want to go with something else. So these guys, this is like, these are some Muslims, this is in Europe, right? Massacre, kill those who insult Islam. Now, what I said the other day, we were having this conversation, is just like when Christians hold signs, like there were these really radical Christian groups, and they would come to campus, and they were here a number of years ago, like really right outside this building, and they just hated everything. I don't even know what they just hated, but they were called Christian. Dude, they weren't even close to being Christian at all. It wasn't even like, bro, where's my other volunteer? Where'd he go? Anyway, where's Brandon? Oh, there you are, dude. Sorry. Dude, these guys, it's not from a mile away you would say these guys aren't Christians. But it's like, oh my God, God hated everybody to them, right? Except them, I guess. But these guys, right, kill those who insult Islam. Like, what do you say to yourself? And these are Muslims, so-called Muslims, right? What do you say to yourself when you see that?
This isn't really what Islam teaches us. Like, Islam literally means peace. So, I don't know. When I see this, I don't really associate it with Islam.
You don't associate it with Islam?
This doesn't represent us as Muslims.
So do you see these people? Because that's what these Christians, hey, can you find them online? Look up Fred Phelps. Fred Phelps, Phelps. Find him online. Okay? When these guys would hold a sign, those Christians would never say, like, oh, there's another Christian, that's a Christian who I disagree with. They're like, that person might as well be from Mars. So can you say more about how you don't, these guys, like you don't even think of them in any way as Muslim? Like say more about that. Like, what do you mean?
There could be Muslim, but they might not be religious or don't follow Islam correctly. So they can kill people. That doesn't represent Islam.
Hey, don't lean up against the wall back there. So, in other words, for you as Muslims, that's like really low-hanging fruit. What's it say in the Quran, right? If you harm a single human being, it's like it's harming the whole world, right? You learn that growing up as Muslims. So what you're saying is, so for like these people here, they can say they're Muslims, just like we had a conversation, anybody can say they're Christian. but in your minds, you just don't include them.
Yeah, they don't represent us.
Hmm.
But they can say they're Muslims.
But they do, yeah, they can. Anybody can say they're Christian, right? But they do represent you. These people represent you, right?
Like, do you think that with the majority of Christians that killed people, do you think that they represent Christianity?
No. But what happens is people who are looking on, people from the outside who are looking at them, will say, like Fred, did you find him? Yeah. Yeah, no, I want you to put a photo up of them protesting with some of their signs. People from the outside look at them like these kind of really radical Christians that seem to be not very Christian at all, and say like, oh, those are Christians. So then they become representative of all Christians. That's just how the human mind works, right? That's how we operate.
I don't think that the world view Christians as violent people just because of their religion. It's not the same as Islam.
Yeah. So you think the world more views Islam as violent?
Yeah. They
Yeah.
view us as terrorists, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think the world does, or do you think some people do? Like these guys.
Not the
didn't-
world, but I see it all over social media when people make fun of us and just say that we're terrorists and
But
make
you
jokes
see it-
about it.
But you see it here in the West. You don't see that. You don't see it at home at all, right?
No.
So
I just
there-
see it on social media.
Okay, but here, social media in the West, right? But in social media back in the Muslim world, are there lots of memes that you see? Do you see memes about Christians and about Jews? Yeah? Yeah, you don't see that. There's Fred Phelps, by the way. Do you have a sign though? I want one of their protests. Yeah. No, not that. Like, go back to, go look him up. Do Google search. Look Fred Phelps. Huh? All right. Anyway. Okay, here. Let me ask you. So again, what I'm saying is, for better or for worse, these people do become representative of Islam because they help to sow the seeds of distrust and uncertainty and hate. And so then they are you. Like people don't make a distinction, you know? I mean, that just is that's how human beings operate. So how's that for you when you see those folks? But you're saying like you just disregard them.
I think people only remember like the most extreme, like they don't really remember like the good in people, I guess. So like if they see something happen in the world that's like really terrible, that's like the only thing they remember about that specific group. So like
People are going to be inclined to that.
yeah.
Yeah, and so what's that say to you? I mean, what's that?
I think you can't really base your opinion off of one instance or one like thing that happened basically. Like you have to do more research before having an opinion, especially one that's like super extreme, like all Muslims are terrorists.
Well, here, let me put another. Did you find anything, by the way? Oh yeah, that. Can you put that up? Yeah. Just like God hates you. Look at these guys. Like this is Fred and his wife. God, you're going to hell. Everyone's going to hell. God hates you. Just like God hates you. Like God doesn't hate me. God hates you. So these are these radical. God is what this says. God is your enemy, right? Like Jesus. But they become representative of Christians, right? So here, even though they're not. Okay, so go. Can you go back to my slides? All right, so I want to put one more slide up. All right, here we go. So Muslims this is out of Europe, right? So you've kind of already said what you're thinking. What's really interesting about the two of you, I think you're just like these two strike me as really nice people. You're just like, yeah, man, I'm Muslim. I'm not political. I'm not thinking about this stuff.
I'm trying not to be political.
Yeah. No, you're just being like yourself. Like, I see this stuff. Look, so in Europe, when Muslims commit a crime, most Muslims don't commit crimes. Most immigrants, the crime rate among immigrants here in the United States and every country in the world, the crime rate among immigrants tends to be much lower than the crime rate among other groups, okay? Especially when those groups don't have full citizenship, then we tend to see lower crime rates. But what you have when you have a few immigrants, and in particular Muslim immigrants in Europe committing a crime, and it becomes a sensational thing, like the first headline, then you get like this, just that, like, stay away, you're not welcome, or like this, right? And what this says, this is in Polish, and it's basically terrorism, Islam, Sharia, nie dziękuję. Dziękuję means, nie means no, and dziękuję means thanks, like no thanks. Like this guy is saying, I don't want any of that. Muslims, go home. And so, how is it that the burden is on you guys, the two of you, to have to, if so many people in the world are looking at you in this way and judging you, like the burden on you to be good all the time, like, you know what I mean? Like, it feels like a burden. Do you feel that or not? You're just being you?
I definitely feel like people are judging me all the time.
What are they judging you on?
Like my hijab.
What are they saying?
I don't know.
What do you think they're saying?
Well, obviously, like the first thing they see is like I'm Muslim, so like they associate me with like everything bad about the religion. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm. And how is so? I just want to go. I want to hit reset, and I want to go back. How is that for you? How old are you, by the way?
I'm 21.
He's like this 21, Rahaf. Did I say it right, Rahaf? 21 years old. Just like this nice person. Look at your smile, whatever. And so people are judging you, and that, like, can you just say more about how that is for you?
I feel like it definitely takes a toll on like my mental health, I guess. Because like if you're constantly thinking about something, then you start to believe it, and like you start to believe that like these people are just thinking about you like that. So like, I don't know. It's just always in the back of my mind.
Can we take a risk? I want to do something, right? Close your eyes, all right? How many of you, I want you to raise your hands, okay? How many of you have ever had like a really, don't look, okay? How many of you have had like a really negative feeling? You see a Muslim like Rahaf here and you just like, oh, there's one of those people. And like, yeah. And can you really be honest? Like, just raise your hands. Like, how many of you have had that feeling? Like, there they are. There she is. There's one of them. How many of you? Once, twice. Dude, Rahaf, okay, open your eyes. That's how many people. Yeah. There's like none. So, dude, you just got a lot lighter. Like, life just got much better.
Can I say my opinion?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think what she's thinking that people might look at her based on her hijab, that she's closed-minded person. And since that many people here are liberal, they might think that about her.
Yeah, so...
Because Muslims are religious.
Yep.
Yeah, so that...
And you're less closed-minded because you're not hijabi. I mean, back home you are, but here you're not.
I don't.
So back home you don't?
I don't have to.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah, I know you don't have to.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you wouldn't be back home anyway because you wouldn't be on camera because you wouldn't want your parents seeing you. I get this, man. All right. So, okay, so you think people would say that she's closed-minded and she's, what else? backward, something?
Yeah, like extreme, I guess, because I wear the hijab.
Uh-huh. Hey, does anybody have a question for... You don't wear a hijab. Yeah,
Because I don't want to.
okay. And how come you wear a hijab?
I chose to.
Okay.
I just recently started wearing it like a couple years ago, so
Uh-huh.
it was like my choice.
Yep. Anybody you have a question? Hey, can you... Huh. Yeah, I think that I wonder, I'm sure there are people in the classroom who've had some negative thoughts and they didn't want to raise their hand. But really, I don't know, people are
I
quite
think
surprised.
a hijab would make me less of a Muslim or
Yeah,
less of a human.
Yeah, yep.
So I have a question that pertains to wearing the hijab. I've seen videos on Instagram Reels and TikToks about how
Hey, can you stand up actually?
Yeah,
Just real
about how families get really excited when they see their daughters that start to wear the hijab. Why is it such a big deal in your culture to decide to start wearing it? And what does it signify?
I guess like it just kind of signifies like getting closer to your religion, and like the family's like just really happy about that, because like I don't know, my parents were happy when I wore it, and they were like proud of me, because it's not an easy thing to do, especially like in the West. So like just being like so strong, I feel like it signifies strength. Like
Dude,
you're able to wear it in the
Was
West.
that like wearing a cross? Is it similar for you or not? Many Christians wear crosses. So. The hijab is very noticeable, yeah. Hang on one second. Do you wear your cross in and out in different situations?
No, we don't. But like in my faith, like Orthodox, there's also like a lot of women that also veil as well.
Yeah.
So I see why, because like when I see Orthodox people like not veil, it doesn't really bother me at all. But like I can see why, like they
Yeah.
don't like doing it. But
Yep. Huh. Hey, and like, were your parents happy when you decided not to? Well, you still you still might decide to wear it at some point, obviously. But she's saying her parents were happy. Were your parents unhappy when you didn't wear it?
To be honest, they weren't happy, but they just accepted it because it's my choice. I'm a grown woman, you know.
Yep. Yep.
Make my own decisions. So
I think that's what many people don't really sort of understand that part of it. But for some Muslim families, though, they would really force, hey, bro, yeah, they would really push you to be hijabi.
yeah, it depends on the family and how strict they are.
Yep, got you. Okay, we have another question.
I just have a quick question. Is there like a specific way of wearing hijab, or like, is there like a specific process, or like a specific way of wearing hijab?
There isn't like a specific way, but there's like different styles that people use. It's really just like up to the person wearing it. And like I struggled at first because I didn't know what looked good on me, like the different styles. And like I'm still like experimenting, I guess. But yeah, there's no like specific like way to wear it.
Do you have a question? G-Dog has a question.
Hey,
This will be our last question.
So we're talking a lot about, people on spectrums of religion, you're not wearing a hijab, you are, despite being a Muslim, or when we're talking about Christianity, the people on the opposite, like in the extreme ends. And, we're all in central Pennsylvania. We see a lot of like Mennonites who are near Amish or like near like just regular people like us. And I wanted to ask, because there's such a big spectrum in religion, is that how do you divide somebody as sharing your faith? Like, for example, Christianity is so
Wait,
big.
hang on one sec. I can't even hear his question. Go ahead,
For
bro.
example, Christianity is so big throughout the world that people across different cultures celebrate Christianity in a different way. And for you, it might be, not the Christian way to do so, but for them, it is it's Christianity way. And like, would you define them as Christian, even if it doesn't like practice what you do? And
Yeah.
it's same for Muslims as well.
Yeah. So this is a really interesting question, right? This the breadth of Islamic practice is so vast. Yeah. I mean, there's so many people that interpret things in different ways and decide to do this and not do that, and like, whew. Nah, there's no question. I think. Yeah, it's a good comment. All right, man, listen. Any final thoughts? You're good? I think you both did great, by the way. Yeah, awesome. All right, thanks, man.